Hey guys, I wanted to just quickly react to this because I really like the tanks. I just made a video about this, and then I saw this on my feed when I was. I'll admit it, and it's shameful. I watch YouTube Shorts sometimes. I watch YouTube Shorts. I know that's supposed to be something you don't like, I think, but I do. I do watch him. And this came up, and typically this guy I like agree with most things he says. I'm like, yes, blah blah blah. Maybe it's just biased opinion, but I saw this and I went, I don't agree with him. I think a lot of the tanks, a lot of the opinions he makes about tanks are not very valid, and it might be because it's a short form content video, and there's just not enough time for him to like really dig into the points because it is short form. But I think it's important to talk about, and I really think the state of the tanks in this game is weird. So I am going to throw it up here, and we can watch it, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. Let's get right into it. Uh, Make sure it's Gallus Overwatch, Gallus OW. Make sure you throw him some attention if you haven't watched him already, because I watch his stuff all the time. It's great. I think his opinions are good. And yeah.
People need to stop asking for shield tanks
in
this
No,
game. This
you
happens
don't.
every time I make a video talking about new tanks that come out. People say stuff like, it would be nice if they added real tanks or something with a shield. The game is in a state where it doesn't facilitate tanks that don't have shields to really function.
Yeah, but like in almost everybody's tier list, they're really good. You function with Angel. Like, you can't play two off tanks, but almost every single tank. I wish I could organize this by just tanks, but I would. But like, they all function. You just can't play them together. Like, Angela's really good. Groot's really good. He doesn't technically have a shield, but he's still really good. You could probably classify him as a. I classify him as a main tank, and I assume that's what he means as real tank or shield tanks. So we're gonna group him in with them. Hulk is he's Hulk. Rogue, not very good. Thing is kind of a sleeper pick. Thor tears up this season if you know what you're doing. Venom has always been good and always been facilitated to play. You're not running double shield tank every single time, right? This game allows tanks without shields to do well, and if you look at the tank roster, people don't need to stop asking for more real tanks or more main tanks, because we only have like 4. You only have Strange, Emma, Groot, Mag, and Penny. You got 5 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh yeah, and Deadpool's also a really good tank. Like, the game facilitates a tank without a shield, because his shield is kind of dookie sometimes. Like, it doesn't really block any damage for you. The only thing it's good for is cutting off healing, I've found. So like, but whatever. Now I have to recount because I lost my track. 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 tanks. We have roughly 13 tanks, and only 5 of them would be real tanks or shield tanks or main tanks, quote unquote real tanks, because Groot is like a main tank. He's like your anchor tank crossbred with a control tank, and so is Penny. Penny's not a main tank. Penny's a shield tank, but she can act as a main tank if you have like enough healing to keep her up, because she has like no damage mitigation in any sense of the form. So I think like the game really operates around, or at least their release schedule really operates around, release a DPS as a tank, release a DPS as a tank. They don't play as like a tank to stand in front of their team and do damage. And I talked about this in my last video, I think a little bit on Monday, when I was talking about characters that I want to come out. I've been playing Overwatch on the buy. I play it occasionally when Rivals doesn't really work for me. I'm kind of just bored of Rivals. I will throw on some Overwatch because it feels like a completely different game, especially when I'm playing tank, because all of the tanks get their value from standing with their team, dictating where your team plays, holding the front line. You play like a tank, and it makes me feel like a tank to play tank in that game. Angela doesn't capture that feeling. Captain America doesn't capture that feeling. Deadpool definitely doesn't. Hulk doesn't. Mag does. Penny doesn't. Rogue doesn't. Thing doesn't. Thor doesn't. Venom doesn't. Like most of the tanks in this game feel like they are DPS hybrids, or they just aren't they don't have frontline capabilities. Their only job is to go in and bum rush the enemy supports, and that's how they get their value. Cap by distracting them, Angela by repositioning people. And yeah, we should have more people who don't do that, because your competitor has all of that, right? Even the tanks that, let's be real, they do the most damage, they have some sort of damage mitigation, either for them or for their team. Some of it, they've got damage mitigation for themselves. I'm thinking of Roadhog here with his bong. I don't know what it is. Whatever character has that. I'm pretty sure it's Roadhog, because he has that. I don't know all the characters' names right now. I haven't played that much. But he has the hook, and he pulls you in, and the shotgun. He has damage mitigation in two ways. One way, his vape, his bong for himself. And secondly, he can grab a DPS, anyone out of position, pull them in, headshot, and help kill them, and that mitigates the damage that his team does. So he has it for himself and for his team. Angela does not have that. Like, she can grant bonus health to people on her team, but that doesn't mitigate any sort of damage. It's worse healing, and at that point you could just play triple support. Because the game, they do feel different, and I think I know why, and I think it's because Overwatch revolves around the tanks, it feels like, because when the other tank is diffing me, we lose. When the other tank can't move because I'm playing, we win, and so it feels like it revolves around tanks, and this game revolves around supports and how much healing you can do. Because I have never seen a support in Overwatch with 40,000 healing, right? And they're completely different games, I get that, but it's just like, for reference, because they are the same category, the same type of game. So, like, they should be somewhat similar in, like, design philosophy, which is why a lot of the characters, they're like, oh, Sigma's just mag. Yeah, that's a bread and butter shield tank. Yeah. Like, there's only so much you can do with that kind of character design. But most of the you feel like a DPS. When I play you, you feel like a DPS. When I play you, I feel like a DPS. When I play you, I feel like a DPS. I don't feel like I'm doing much for my team unless I'm going into their team and DPSing. So it is not a far cry to ask for more tanks that feel like you are a wall helping your team with things. Because when I play Groot and I cut people off on their team, or I make them play in different positioning with my walls, I feel good. I feel like I'm setting the pace of the game. I feel like I'm being a tank. I don't feel like that when I play Angela or Captain America. I don't think it's a far cry from doing that.
All of them are conditional. Rogue, Hulk, Venom, Penny, Thing, Thor, Tank, Deadpool. They are all
DPS. Except, even Penny. You can't really play Penny as a second main tank. You, like, go on off angles and you flank. To say that I want them to be like Mag and Strange, where I can play them, they're all conditional.
All situational or conditional. Groot right now.
Like, and this, I'll talk about his Groot take, because I think it's weird. Like, to say that they're all situational, they're all conditional, yeah, so are the DPS. Like, they play like DPS, they should be situational. You shouldn't be able to play Hulk into every team comp and with every team comp. That means Hulk is overpowered. Like, I think the shield tanks right now are too powerful. I do think Poke is too powerful, and they all lean into Poke. I agree. I think it's too powerful, but I don't think that means you should stop asking for main tanks. Because here's an idea. You can make... I'll get into this more. You can make main tanks that are Brawl and are a main tank. Like, I wish Thing had more damage negation for both himself and his team. Genuinely, I wish he had that, because it would make me feel like I could play frontline as Thing instead of I'm jumping to them for damage vulnerability, and then I'm either jumping back or I'm using my shift back. The only time I use my E to jump to my team is when they're being dove. But even then, I want to use my F to do it, because then we can kill the diver faster. Because the supports do a lot of damage, and so if I apply vulnerability, instead of being a 3-shot, they're a 2-shot, and they just crumble. So why would I do damage reduction instead of the vulnerability? There's really no point. so thing doesn't ever feel like I'm providing value to my team in terms of mitigating damage. I feel like when I play Thing, and I like Thing, he's one of the not main tanks that I actually like, him and Captain America. I feel like I'm just there to punch the team, like how Wolverine is there to punch the tanks, slash at the tanks. I'm just there to punch through their tanks. And that is not good tank design, because if they he's so conditional, you're right. But if he plays like a DPS, he should be. If he played as a main tank to sit in front of the team, he should also be conditional. Like, I think Mag, Strange, and Emma should also be conditional. I don't think they should be able to be played into every team comp and with every team comp. This isn't a question of, oh, don't ask for more main tanks because all these other tanks are conditional. We should be, these tanks are too strong, so these ones don't get played as much because they're not as strong, which is true, even though half of them are still like A or S tier and often played in high ranks and won with in high ranks. It's not like they're left for dead, dying without a buff like Adam. Like, I don't know, it's just, it rubs me the wrong way. That point just doesn't, because if Angela is going to play like a DPS and not really offer anything for her team other than going through the enemy team and repositioning them and dealing damage and getting picks, why should she be played in every environment? Why should she not be situational? Because look at this. Let's look at this. Oh, I see a bunch of DPS who are situational. Like, you can't... I see a bunch of supports that are situational, like Rocket. You can't play Rocket against Phoenix. You just don't get an ult then. But, well, they're situational, so we have to make it so they're not situational. At least to me, that's what it feels like he's saying. And that's just dumb. Like, why would you ever play Magic into Thing? If they're playing Magic Panther and you play Thing, these two are situational. You can't play them anymore. And that's a good thing. So if we're going to have tanks that act like DPS, then they have to be situational. I do think Mag, I do think Strange, Emma, Groot, I do think they are power crept. They are too strong. Poke is the strongest in this game, and it kind of shuts everything else down. I agree with that. But I think the point he's making is not the correct angle of attack on that problem. Because it's like saying, Poke is too strong in this game, we should never add another Poke character ever again. No, just nerf the ones that are running the game. Make them not run the game. Like, that's what you do. Like, I think Gambit needs nerfed. I think Gambit needs to become like Thor, where Thor is essentially a jack of all trades. He's not really a dive tank. He's not a frontline poke tank. He's not really anti-dive, but he can do everything. If you know how to do it and you commit to it, he can do it. He can dive, he can frontline, he can poke, he can anti-dive. He can do whatever. I've seen it happen on my team and on the enemy team. The Thor just has to be good, know what they're doing, know how to do it, and commit to it. The difference between Thor and Gambit and being a jack of all trades is Gambit doesn't have to choose or commit. You just do it. And so, I think Gambit's too strong, and so you should nerf them. You should nerf Gambit. But that doesn't mean I don't think we should never add any more supports with... That doesn't mean I think we should add no more supports with more than 3 abilities because it makes them way too overpowered. There's a way to balance it. That's a stupid philosophy to say, oh, this is overpowered, stop asking for it. Now, this Groot one really makes me wonder.
Or conditional. Groot right now is universally so good because he is just that power crept and strong. It's like saying Gambit on launch was a good design and that's why he was in every game or banned in every game. No, it was the state of balance he was in. The devs have yet to design a tank that doesn't have essentially every single tool you need. Strange, Magneto, Emma. These are the hyper generalist most...
So the Groot one, he just kind of moves on from it, but it feels like he's saying... Groot's super strong, and so you shouldn't add any more tanks like Groot. Groot was power crept, and so you shouldn't add any more main tanks because he's power crept. No? What? It doesn't make sense. Because, like, Yeah, he's power crept. Yeah, he's super strong because he's power crept, but like, I don't get it. If Magneto was super power crept, why would you ever, like, if Magneto or Strange is power crept to the point where they're banned or played every game, you nerf them. You don't say don't add any more shield tanks. You just fix the balance.
To design a tank that doesn't have essentially every single tool you need.
Yes, they have. So Hulk doesn't have any way of, like, really, like, they had to buff Hulk 3 times to give him a way to protect his team better, like by buffing his bubble 12 times. They had to buff Groot to give him all the tools he needed because they designed them without them. Their design philosophy was correct. Groot on launch was really strong, but he was really susceptible to CC, and that's good, but now he's not anymore, right? He's power crept to hell and back. Hulk on launch didn't and still doesn't have a very good way of protecting his team. It's why they buffed his clap for a shorter cooldown, and every time you hit someone, it lowers his bubbles, so that way he can protect his team better. They're slowly giving them everything they need to protect their team, but he doesn't. On launch, they don't have it. Deadpool can't really protect his team other than killing the enemies faster. Like, he's got that damage reduction for the people around him, but it's just about as useful as Thing's damage reduction. Thing doesn't have everything you need to protect your team. He barely has enough to protect himself. They just gotta go Moon Knight. Anybody that's poke that can shoot fast destroys Thing. Unless you're playing like 4 supports and just pumping him full of healing. Thor didn't have everything he needed at the start of the game. They buffed his Thor force 3 times and buffed the hammer. Separated the hammer throw so that way it was useful. Like, they have done that. Rogue has damage reduction for herself, but not for her team. Like, they do. Unless you're thinking of just tanks that go in and dive, then yeah. If you're thinking about, like, only these tanks that go in and dive, and they're not supposed to help their team as being a frontline tank, then yeah, they have most of everything they need. Hulk can shield himself, has an escape. Angela has an escape, has a shield, has an escape, has a shield, has all these CC and everything. But, like, even Emma has a 20 seconds before she's CC immune. She's still pretty CC. She's still pretty liable to CC. If you use your diamond form a second too early, then Wolverine comes in and fucks your ass, and you can't do anything about it because you have 20 seconds till you can use it again. You're really relying on your team to help you. Like, she's still really susceptible to CC. I don't think the tanks in this game have everything they need to do different situations. If that was the case, there would be no reason to play different tanks. You would just play the same 2 tanks every game all the time, or same 4 tanks in any combination, and no matter what the enemy team plays, you just stay on your tanks because there's no reason to swap. You have everything you'd ever need. So it's just not true.
Strange, Magneto, Emma. These are the hyper generalist, most reliable picks for the longest time in the game. They all have a shield to stop poke.
Yes.
They all have a short range, high damage combo to stop people walking past them or at them to confirm a kill on them. And they've got some form of cooldown to save their life on top of that. They have these windows of invulnerability baked into the kit if the backline gets distracted as well. There's also so little space to design another tank with a shield. You want to know why? Because this is it. Like,
I just think that's incorrect, though. Because, sure, he has all that, but you'll notice for Emma, he showed the same thing for 2 different abilities. For Mag, I think Mag just does too much damage for how much survivability he has. Like, I agree, but Strange is also very conditional as well, and when you can just burst down a target walking next to you. If you're on 0 charge, you can't stop it. You can't just stop a target from walking by you with your E. He had it pre-charged to do that. If you have just bursted it, even if you're at 100 charge, you've just exploded, fuck, you can't do anything about it. Like, it's conditional for both of them. I think Mag's still on top. Mag's still, like, the best all-rounder, but that doesn't mean don't add any more tanks. That means, oh, find some way to balance it. And it's not that there's no room to design any other tanks with shields. Overwatch has like 10, and they're all different and they play differently. Ramatra ends up being your Emma, Sigma's your Mag, Reinhardt's kind of like your Strange, but only if you could whip as Strange. But you know what would be cool? Give me a melee tank with a shield, and not full melee. It's like Ramatra's fists, where a full punch would do. I don't know if this is how Ramatra works, but off the top of my head, let me design his tank using there's things I've seen in this game and other games to do it. Tank, I mean punches. The actual punch does more damage, has an AoE afterwards. It only hits one person, but it pierces shields, even the extended thing. So it's not full brawl. You have some grace with it because you need some grace with it because we're going to give him a shield. The shield does not regenerate. Instead, it regenerates based on the damage you do, making him a super aggro, pace-setting tank. The damage reduction he gives to his team, how he helps his team, is with said shield. Now, that is primary fire and maybe a right click. What do we give him as some sort of shift? Well, give him some sort of teleport, right? And not in like a phoenix dash. Maybe it's straight up or straight forward or straight to the sides. Make it, I actually like straight up. Make it like a get out of jail free card, but in a way where, oh, I'm making them look at me, right? Not I'm teleporting to behind them to punch them more. I go up to escape an ultimate. Maybe that was getting solo ulted, or maybe I'm the only one left. I go up, and now they're stuck looking at me while I'm in the sky, or like something. Maybe he has to place something somewhere, and he can teleport to it, like the Star-Lord ability. You can give tanks, and that would be a new, unique tank design that wouldn't feel like the three of them, because you have to be super aggressive with it, right? Maybe he has something else. I was just talking about Dr. Bong. Now, when he's using his shield, and I was like, maybe Dr. Bong has that shield and it's like the recharge. Dude, if you don't know who Dr. Bong is, watch the video I uploaded on Monday about characters we needed in Rivals. You won't understand until you watch it. But maybe it's like a barrier in front of him, and while things can pass through it, when things pass through it, they have like 70% damage reduced. So it's not a real shield. It works on a stamina bar, and it just reduces the damage for himself and the people behind him. It's a team damage reduction, but he has to be in front of you. He has to be holding it like a shield, and he can't attack when he's doing it. You help your team in exchange for damage. You can do things that are unique. You can design tanks with shields that aren't just Mag Emma Strange. It's possible. I guarantee you it's possible because I just played a game last night where I had 3 tanks in front of me that I went, which one do I want to play? They all have shields, and they did not feel the same. They didn't feel the same design-wise. Sigma feels different from, like, even Ramatra feels different from Emma in this game. I like Ramatra a lot more than I like Emma in this game. Like, I think they feel different. Even Ramatra and Emma feel very different. This isn't bread. It's not like this is all you can do. Like, to say this is the bread and butter, it's very hard to make tanks outside this. This is pretty much all we're gonna get. Stop asking for more, because you won't get anything that's different from this. That's just a flawed mentality. You can do things that are different, even if it's not a real shield, quote unquote. Something that acts as a shield or acts as a barrier. Maybe give me someone like I gave, what am I trying to say? Hold on. He doesn't create a barrier that's necessarily a shield. He creates a ramp. And sure, it does kind of act like a shield if you fall, but it's to give you high ground, and it can be broken. Toth is what I was trying to get at. Toth from the last video I made, I was trying to say, and I couldn't articulate it clearly, he could do things like that. Instead of traditional shields, he gives you high ground that can also block damage, allows you to peek, and so not all of you is visible, and you take less damage because of it. I think there's really cool team play with that, even if you give people things that aren't traditionally a shield, like Groot. Groot can be argued he is a shield tank because he has a lot of stuff to reduce incoming damage. If you cut off their tanks, less bullets hit your team, and he is cutting off damage, almost like a shield. But it's not a shield, so you can make things that operate as shields or similar to shields without it being a shield, and I think it's very flawed to say that you can't, or that it's going to be very hard, and this is pretty much all you're going to get.
Like, that's the formula.
Because he's going to finish it.
If you add more to these kits, these things are unstoppable.
But we're not adding more to these kits, right? What I just said, I should have waited so that way I could finish my point, because now I had to wait for him to finish talking.
What are you going to do? Give them more damage, more mobility in some new design of a hero? Like,
But you're not doing that, right? So you're not doing that. This argument means that, like, to say that that's to take his argument and apply it, it would mean I'm making a new tank. Copy paste Magneto, what do I add? Copy paste Strange, what do I add? When I just came up with the Brawl tank, I did not copy paste Emma to make that tank. I did not copy paste Emma, give him new abilities to make that tank. When I said the one with the shield melee, only damage restores shield health, didn't copy paste Emma, didn't copy paste Mag, didn't copy paste Strange, and I still created a design for a shield tank that was different and would play differently from them, and could be as a main tank, put up a shield for his team, some damage reduction, could do damage, has mobility. You don't have to follow them. Like,
you can't do it. Poke is too good. There's no room for hybrids. The one band-aid system they have is team-ups to make bad tanks work with actually good ones. They also introduce a lot of bad actors into the role and potentially make tank worse every time they add a tank that doesn't really become a staple or isn't super reliable. Like, we haven't had another Emma, right? I'm not saying we need another Emma. I'm saying we shouldn't need another Emma. People need a...
Yeah, but, like, let me go to the end, because...
With a shield? You want to know why?
Tank
because
with a shield.
is it. Like, that's the formula. If you add more to these kits, these things are unstoppable. What are you going to do? Give them more damage, more mobility in some new design of a hero? Like, you can't do it. Poke is too good.
I agree, Poke is way too good. I think there's a room for hybrid. Like, there is definitely room for hybrid. You know what the room for hybrid is? Not Emma. He's literally playing Angela. A tank with a shield, which I don't think the shield works big enough, works well enough to call her a shield tank. If you call her a shield tank, you're essentially calling Captain America a shield tank, and I don't agree with that. But that is a hybrid. It's a tank with a shield that acts not like a main tank. That you are literally playing a hybrid while saying there's no room for hybrids, right? Yeah, and Angela has been good for a while. Consistently banned just last season, I'm pretty sure. It's either last season or the season before, but I can't remember. Like, consistently good. I think it's... Jeez, I'm making a 30-minute video off this one short. I'm gonna end it soon. I just think it's weird. Like, you should be asking for more tanks. It doesn't have to be another Emma. Even if they're mid, or like just above, they're A tier and not S tier. You can have tanks. Like, you know what I think would be great? Mr. Fantastic doesn't do a lot of damage. He doesn't finish off kills like the other Poke characters. He doesn't help. He survives a long time. That's really good. I've always said Mr. Fantastic survives a long time, and that's what's really good about it. But he does not share his survivability with his team. Like Mag shares his ability to block damage with his team. Strange shares it. Emma can share it. They can share that with their team in some way to help their team. Mr. Fantastic just kind of survives for a long time. I've said it for a while. Make his fridge form, make that like 600 health. Rework the damage equation to shoot it back out so that way he doesn't one-tap anyone in the game with it. And stretch him. Stretch him sideways so he's like the length of Strange's shield. So you can play him as a DPS tank hybrid. And he would actually work as a DPS tank hybrid, because now you can enter that form, from big mode, and you could go into it, and that's a DPS tank hybrid. And his fridge form would work as a shield for his team, and he wouldn't be Emma, Mag, or Strange, and that's wild. I think that the take that you can't add any more shield tanks because we've already got the 3, and any other tank with a shield is a copy paste of them with extra abilities and is super strong. Plus the take that stop asking for them, because all the DPS hybrids, that they're a tank with a lot of health, but they kind of act and play as a DPS where their main goal is to go disrupt and kill instead of tank, damage mitigate, and mitigate damage and hold the front line. So since they're situational, don't ask for any more main tanks, because you can play the other ones all you want. Of course you can play all the other ones all you want. You need some sort of main tank to go with an off tank, unless you're going to run full dive. Like, of course the other ones are situational because we've got so much more of them than if we had 13 tanks. Like, we have roughly 13 tanks. If we had 7 of those, that was 8. It's 5 and 8. If we have 8 of them that are ones with shields and they all play differently, and let's say they're all roughly the same level of balance versus 5 off tanks, well, yeah. Now your 5 off tanks are going to be like, well, this is the best one you want to play. Which shield tank do I play him with? But you wouldn't use that as an opportunity to say, don't add any more off tanks or dive tanks. Our shield tanks are situational, so you better not add any more of those. Like, I think that's... And I'm sorry that I just equated him to a child. That's real bad of me. I'm sorry. But I think that's a real stupid take. I think that's not how it should work. Just nerf poke. I think Mag does too much damage. I've always said that. I've said increase his shields so he's more of a defensive monster and lower his damage. He has left click, right click, left click. I'm gonna collect my thoughts. Mag's ability to kill is way too high. I have had games on Mag where I get more finals and more elims than my DPS. It's insane. I think he's too strong. Instead of saying don't add any more shield tanks because Mag's too strong, I say make Mag a defensive monster if you want. If you want him to be a defensive monster able to protect his team and himself and block damage from their entire team with a shield, do that. Increase that, actually buff that, and lower his damage. So that way when someone walks past him, Mag doesn't just kill them with left click, right click, left click. You instead put up a big shield in front of them, meaning they get no healing and no supporting damage. And since you buff the defense, you probably increase the duration, and your team should be able to kill them. And that's how you would play it. I think that's what someone like Mag should do instead of just kill them. I agree Poke's too strong. I agree that the shield tanks are too strong. Emma was way too strong on release. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't ask for more.
Band-aid system they have is team-ups to make bad tanks work with actually good ones.
Yeah, but the team-up that he shows is Thor Cap Storm, and you never played all 3, or at least I never played all 3. I never saw any of the 3 played when I would watch streamers, and like Celestial, One Above All. I watched the first set of competitive play for that team, for that Season 0 and Season 1, when there was competitive play, and I didn't see this team up being run all that often. They put a bad tank with a bad tank in the one that you're showing. The Angela Thor doesn't really work because they both fulfill the role of off-tank. The only reason you play the same 3 or 4 tanks every game is because we have a best off-tank to play and only like 3 tanks with shields, bro. And if you're not playing grouped, there's only 3 tanks with shield because nobody's playing Penny because Penny's shit. I love Penny so much and I wish she was better. But there's no way to make her good without making her busted, and the Rocket team-up proved that. So you got 3 left. You got 3 left to play, and it's either Mag, Emma, or Strange. That's the problem. It's not the fact that there's only, like, those are the only ones you could ever have. It's the fact that there's only 4 and Groot gets banned because he's power crept. So you're going to see the same 3 main tanks every game. Now, if there was 20 main tanks, then it would then become situational, because what DPS are they playing? Okay, they're playing those DPS, I can play this tank, I can play this tank to do this. They swap their tank. Oh my god, my tank no longer works, let me swap to this, right? That's how it should play the higher up you get, but you can't because there's only 3 tanks to play. 4 if Groot's unbanned, but he's not unbanned that often, right? I just think the point's not very valid. They
introduce a lot of bad actors into the role and potentially make tank worse every time they add a tank that doesn't really become a staple or isn't super reliable. Like, we haven't had another Emma, right? I'm not saying...
Like, but I don't think that's really that good either.
We need another Emma? I'm saying we shouldn't need another Emma.
Because... Here's this. What tank has been added? We've got Emma, Angela, Deadpool. Have they ever added a tank? Rogue. What? Oh, Rogue was added to the game. Did not become a staple. Didn't become super reliable. I don't think Rogue ruins the tank role. I don't look at Rogue and go, not super reliable. You fucking ass, you ruined my game. Go die. I just think she's not as reliable. She's super situational, and I think that's good for a tank that plays like a DPS. You don't play tank in front of your team fighting their supports by poking their supports or fighting their other tank to create space, make space, taking advantage of DPS on off angles. You play the road by diving in, getting value, getting out, getting healed, diving in, getting value, getting out. Right? You play her like a DPS. Like you would play someone like, I don't know, Psylocke or Strange, or I have to click on that again. Like you would play someone like Blade, where you go in after one target. If you get the kill or not, you come out, you get healed. Like Daredevil, like DPS Deadpool. You play them like other DPS, like Iron Fist. So, yeah, they should be situational, because to say that they shouldn't be situational is to say Black Panther shouldn't be situational, Blade shouldn't be situational, Daredevil shouldn't be situational, Iron Fist shouldn't be situational, Magic, Mr. Fantastic, Namor, Moon Knight, none of the DPS who play like that should be situational either, and that's not very good for the state of the game. There should be counters, not hard counters where I chose this so you can't play that, but soft counters where I've complained about how Thing isn't really anti-dive because his his anti-charge, the spell field that he places on the ground, it is only 4 meters high, and when you hit them, it knocks them up. So most of the characters in the game just dash out or go away from it, but at least it scares them away. And now with his, when they added the vulnerability to his F, I went, okay, he's a little better because now he helps them kill faster. So I don't think Thing is hard anti-dive. I think he's good, and he's a soft counter to dive, but I don't think he's hard anti-dive. I don't think if you see Thing, you can no longer play dive ever. But it's a soft counter, and that's good. He's situational depending on what the team is playing. Say, Namor is not hard anti-dive. He's like your anti-dive DPS that you think of, but that's just because he has the squids that auto-lock. You're not guaranteed that those squids auto-lock on somebody unless you throw the tridents, because it's da-da-da-da, Aquatic Dominion. It doesn't, it does not give you, yeah, unless you hit a headshot, they do not go and look at them. After the 70s. Enhanced attack and nearest hit enemy. His right click. Unless you hit the right click, they do not. You're not guaranteed that those squids are going to auto lock to the diver. So he's not a hard counter to dive characters. And I think that's a good design philosophy. There should be swapping. There should be soft counters. Characters should be situational. And I think the argument that we shouldn't add any more main tanks because we already have 3 and they're strong is bad. I just think Poke is super strong, and so we should nerf the Poke characters, make them better at some things and worse at other things. Like, I've made a video where I talked about supports and how supports are too strong and can do everything. I think the same thing about these 3 tanks. Strange can do damage, save himself, has a shield. Emma does a lot of damage, saves herself, has a shield. They all 3 protect their team a lot. They do a lot of damage and they have shields. Yeah, they need nerfed because they shouldn't be everything all at once, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't ask for more tanks in the game, or at least more tanks like them. I don't know. Mixed feelings on it. Sorry about the long-winded rant about this video. I just thought it was pretty important to talk about, and something that I disagreed with on a lot of levels, especially, I thought the Groot point was a nothing burger. That Groot is power crept, so you shouldn't add more main tanks. Well, yeah, but if Strange was... if any of them were super power crept, would that be the same argument? Like, if Angela was super power crept? Whatever. I can't get back into it. Let me know what you think. And obviously, I don't not like this guy. I watch his videos all the time. I agree with him. I just saw it, and I'm really passionate about the tanks in this game because a lot of them feel samey to me in like what you're supposed to do, and I want them to feel different. And so to say don't add more, to hear him say don't add more made me go what? What? What are you talking about? And so I wanted to rebuttal it. I'll see you guys later. Wet Willy.